This is Michael Medved with some thoughts on what happened to socialism. And that topic comes up, of course, because of the astonishing victory of Zohran Mamdani to be the new mayor of New York. Because all of a sudden you think that, well, socialism is a factor in our politics. But it's socialism was a factor in our politics much more 100 years ago. And yes, really 100 years ago, what happened to it? And by the way, in terms of the importance of socialism, we had 9 different candidacies for president by socialist candidates, but they were 2 people. There were 5 races for president by Norman Thomas. And then before that, Eugene Victor Debs, who was really the leading socialist in all of American history, you can say, until I know Mamdani, but he's untried as yet. Eugene Victor Debs never really won anything except a lot of votes. In 1912, when he was running against 2 presidents, he was running against William Howard Taft and Theodore Roosevelt, and somebody who won the election, Woodrow Wilson. And he won 6% of the vote. He won 900,000 votes. He ran for president a total of 4 times. Norman Thomas then took over the Socialist Party after him, and he ran 5 times for president of the United States. And there were 2 socialist congressmen who played conspicuous roles in the Congress. Meyer London of New York, the city of New York, and Victor Berger of Milwaukee. And in fact, in Milwaukee, that had a series of socialist mayors.
It's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
Does this guy know how to party or what?
They had something called sewer socialism. And that was because their big emphasis was building a sewer system, building a city park system, basically helping with lifestyle issues. And the socialist mayors of Milwaukee, who played a role in politics, competing with the Republicans and Democrats for about 50 years, they were actually, that was one of the areas where socialism was very vibrant and very important. So what happened after these famous socialists like Eugene Debs and Norman Thomas, who kept running and trying to build a national party that would compete with the Republicans and Democrats? They worked together, by the way, with a former governor and senator from Wisconsin, Robert La Follette, and they worked with his independent presidential campaign in 1924, which also got a lot of votes but didn't come close to winning. What happened to the socialists, and it's fascinating to read about it, is they were completely destroyed by internal contradictions. There were breakaway factions, ideological factions, people who preferred different books, people who were open Marxists, people who favored the revolution in Russia. And that was part of what ended up putting Eugene Victor Debs in jail. He ran again. He got almost 1 million votes when he ran the last time he ran, when he was in a jail cell. But what happened to the socialists basically was the preoccupation with ideology and the inability to actually work together and to sometimes understand that, okay, if you're building a political party, you're not necessarily creating a revolutionary dream. There was another, it was sort of late in the highlight of socialism, was in 1934. There was a candidate for governor of California, the famous novelist Upton Sinclair, who ran on the Epic platform. He had written a pamphlet that was a bestseller called End Poverty in California, and they were going to do that with collective farms and other socialist institutions. But the fact is that the socialist mindset was always so ideologically driven and to one side or another, and the inability to cooperate politically and to make the compromises that are necessary for political survival and success basically have made socialist parties until now, this moment, fairly irrelevant in American life, certainly from, say, 1940 until 2025. I also don't really believe that Mamdani is going to be successful enough to transform the fate of socialism in this country. And he still, by the way, identifies as a Democrat. He won the Democratic nomination, though the idea that we may be seeing a twilight rather than a glorious dawning of the socialist dream, I think also appears very likely. So much for some quick observations on where we are right now with the new mayor of New York, who I'm sure will, if nothing else, attract a great deal of attention.